Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bonus Point Podcast MLR Series. I'm your host, TJ Olsen, joined by Cam and Walker Tice from the Rugby Index. But you also have a very special guest joining us today. He's a player that's been lighting up the MLR in the first couple of weeks and someone I feel is going to do great things for this competition. Please welcome in Old Glory DC player, Danny Tusitala. What's up, Danny? How you doing today?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
No, of course, man. It's always good to have someone of, I guess, from my side of the world on the podcast, and someone who's doing a lot of good things for the MLR. And I see you sporting some nice headgear. Is it so you got some cauliflower action going?
Yeah, I had a bit of a knock to the head a few weeks ago. I think it was Nola, and I just thought nothing of it. It was like kind of a bit sore, swollen, and then over the weekend it just got a bit fat. So I guess that's what happens when you're tackling with your eyes closed and just throwing your head in places where it doesn't belong. So I think that's the difference. So now I've learned my lesson and definitely won't be throwing my head into a ruck. So
point and pray.
Painful experience this morning. I was, I'm not a fan of needles. And then as soon as the doc pulled out the needle, I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. If you see me wearing a headgear or my head strap for the next couple of games, you'll know why. So
we'll get you some wrestling headgear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do that too, because after that one, I want to save this ear, man.
You got to keep at least one. But let's get right into it, because the lads and I have a lot of questions to ask you, and I want to talk a little bit before we talk about the MLR, a little bit about your transition from New Zealand to the US. So I know your career quite well, as we both have strong ties to your local club, Ponsonby Rugby Club. Obviously, I'm wearing the awesome shirt. Love me some ponies, and you've had quite a successful career in New Zealand, winning a Gallagher Shield for Ponsonby. We've spoken about it. It would have been a hat trick if not for COVID, and also playing for Auckland in the Mitre 10 Cup. And you've also represented Samoa in the Sevens and a little stint in France as well. And now you're here in the US playing in the nation's capital. So my first question is, what swayed you to come out to the US, and what has your transition been like?
I think it started in 2019 for myself. I think I went through a phase where I kind of wasn't too interested in playing footy anymore. I kind of jumped off the Seventh Circuit, playing for Samoa, and I just wasn't really enjoying myself at the time. So I went back to Ponsonby, obviously the club that you've been a part of, and I went back to Ponsonby and I played under 85s, and I was playing reserve grade for a couple of months, and then I got a phone call from Coach Andrew Douglas. Out of the blue, like I had a missed call from a Washington DC number, and I was thinking, is this a spam? Or, And so I waited for the call to come back again, and he gave me a call. He introduced himself. Said, "Hey, I'm so and so, starting a new team in this new league called the MLR, and we're starting a team up here in DC." And I think straight away for me, it was just like an opportunity to have a fresh start. I think. When you've played, I guess, 7s and 15s and the international level, it can be stressful. And I think I was at that point. And so I saw this as a new opportunity for me to start fresh and, I guess, make new friends and just get into a new environment and challenge myself. So, I signed straight away. I think as soon as I got off the phone call, he sent me an email, and I didn't even read the contract. I just signed it. And I was like, I think it would have been like a couple of months before Mitre 10 Cup. And so I signed the contract, and my wife goes to me, "Did you even read it?" And I was like, "Who cares? Like, I don't need to read it. Like, all I know is I'm going to get paid to play in America." So, and that was the, I guess, eye-catching thing, was that I'll be able to have a visa, live in the US. And then my first thought was like, and I'm going to get to go to NBA games. So, man. As soon as I arrived, the first thing I did was go to a Wizards versus Portland Blazers game.
Oh, nice.
So I was lucky enough to watch up close and personal, like players like Carmelo Anthony, Damian Lillard, and Bradley Beal and John Wall. And I was like, oh, man, this is why I wanted to come to the US. So it wasn't so much about the rugby. It was just like life outside of footy. And, and that's what I love about it. Obviously footy is just a bonus on top of it. So it's been good. You've been in New Zealand, and you know that a lot of us Kiwi boys, we follow the American sports. So to be able to have the opportunity to live in America and be able to attend games like that, it's unreal. I think
that's a I think that's a really good thing that I think a lot of people are going to start to be drawn towards when it comes to the MLR is not just the possibility of a great league and the possibility of playing with some amazing players and some amazing teams. We've got so many other things here in the US that can draw people like NBA. I know from experience as we love our American sports and watching football, it's really hit and miss in New Zealand. Some people either really are into it and some people have no idea what's going on. So I think having that opportunity to go to those games and do those things, so it'll be a good opportunity, I think, for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it sort of a roundtable format. So we're going to go, Cam's going to ask you a question and then Walker's going to go again. We'll just keep going around the circle. So Cam, you're up.
Yeah, it actually transitions kind of nicely. We know all about the Danny on the field, but I'm sort of more interested about the Danny off the field. And I think you kind of answered this question already. But if you're not watching footy, what sports are you watching?
What sports am I watching? You know, I'd like to say I watch a bit of NBA. I enjoy basketball. If you follow me on Instagram, I sort of run like a jungle ball back home where I just get a lot of my mates all together on a Wednesday night and we just play a bit of fun ball. You know, no fouls are called, but it's like foul central. Like, you can hear steps from the other side of the building, and you know, and that's what I think everyone just loves it. Like, I loves basketball, so I'd say I love watching basketball. Not so much football. Not so much football, but you know, definitely be NBA, and yeah, I don't think I watch many other sports besides. If I'm not watching rugby, it'd be a bit of basketball, or yeah, I think that's about it.
Just to cut in, do you have a favorite player or a favorite team?
I get a bit of stick because I like to follow players and not so much as the team. So I like following LeBron James, right? And obviously he's been to the Miami Heat, been to Cavs, and then he's now at the Lakers and things like that. So I've got a couple of jerseys of LeBron James. So I like following LeBron James, but I also like following players like Damian Lillard. Who else is there? Steph Curry. There's a few of them, and I enjoy. There's probably one football player that I follow, would be Odell Beckham, and probably I don't know, Tom Brady. He's an obvious choice.
You and Odell got the same haircut.
What he's done in the game, so that's
him. Yeah, Danny and Odell do definitely have the same haircut. I would say that one. That's the mirror images, I reckon. But yeah, I've got a mate back in Australia. He's also the same as you. He's been a big LeBron fan since day one, and he buys as soon as he signs with a new team, he's out buying the new jersey the next day. So there's nothing wrong with that. You follow your good players. That's all good. Nice. All right, Walker, you're up.
Well, and you touched on it. Obviously, you've played on a number of different continents internationally, and so. What's your favorite try? I mean, what's your favorite try that you've scored?
Oh, favorite try. I haven't scored many of those, but
right.
Damn. I'd say scoring my debut try for my country in Apia 2016, a match versus Tonga. I was real nervous, and funny enough, before the game that morning at breakfast, I told a few of the boys, I was like, "Man, I think I'm going to score a try today," and everyone was like, "Yeah, whatever." And I put a bet on with one of the boys, TJ Ioane, who plays at I think he's at London Irish or somewhere. Oh no, he's at Glasgow Warriors. Sorry, TJ Ioane. He put a bet on me, and he said, "I'll give you $100 if you score a try." And I was like, "Yeah, sweet." But I was sitting on the bench, and all I could think about was, "How am I going to score a try? How am I going to score a try?" And then, just funny enough, I managed to get on the field, and I think one of the first plays was the ball was chucked out of a scrum, and their 10 had left it behind, and I just happened to be running in that same channel and scooped it up. And yeah, I don't know why I didn't sprint straight under the poles. I went straight to the corner. I think it was just a nerve. Like, everyone was like, "Why'd you run to the corner?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, man." I just as soon as I touched the ball, I just thought, get away from everyone. That was the best option for me, and all I remember is running straight to that corner, and I could see I think all the Samoan fans in the hill, and it was for me it was like a moment that I'll never forget, because I think when you're seeing as I was running, it felt like real slow motion, like just everything just slowed down, and then as soon as I dived, I just got up and carried on the old chahu, pumping your chest and things like that. It was silly. It was silly. But I think that's one of my greatest memories. I think scoring my debut try. And it was in Samoa as well. So it was very special to, I guess, score that try in front of family as well, family and friends.
You just wanted to make it harder on the kicker, didn't you? You just wanted to run to the corner so you can make it seem like it was a cool kick.
Yeah, well, at the time I came off the field, and all the boys were like, "Why didn't you score under the post?" And I was like, "Bro, there was guys chasing me." And then when
I'm running away.
I gotta get $100.
Yeah, I see the footage and there's like no one near me, and I'm like, "Oh, I think that was just nerves." Like, just that fit. Like, as soon as I grabbed the ball, I was just like, "Oh man, I need to get on my bike and go." So I was just like, "Oh." Then I probably did the most unnecessary swan dive. Like I did the massive Superman dive. So
I always say there's nothing wrong with a swan dive as long as you don't turn out like that Japanese guy that dove in the air and he lost the ball mid-air. As long as you can score the try, it's all good. You make it magical. You make it majestic.
I was definitely holding on to that ball for my life.
That's a good one. All right. Well, now I want to talk about pre or post game match rituals. So we know a lot of professional athletes have them. Michael Jordan was North Carolina shorts under his Bulls shorts every game. Wayne Gretzky put baby powder on his hockey stick when he went to play in the NHL. And there's a lot of other quirky ones out there. I know Caron Butler in the NBA, he would never drink anything except Mountain Dew. So do you have any pre or post game rituals that you go through during the game, or something that you just live by?
I think a lot of it changed for me, I guess, over the years. I guess when you're playing sevens is a game where you prepare for a game, then after the game you rest, and then you got to prepare again in the same day. So it's like 3 games or the 6 games in 2 days. So I kind of learned how to adjust sort of preparation. So I didn't keep it the same sort of thing. So like some tournaments I was like, I would not eat a thing before the first game. And then some tournaments I'll be like, man, I'm going to eat everything. And then, but I will say that my ritual would be, I like to dance, listen to music, and all sorts. And it can be like, I could listen to a Whitney Houston tune before I'm running out. Like, it's like, it depends what mood I'm in. And obviously that's when I'm on tour. But then when I'm at home and I have my family there, it's sort of a bit more skit. Like there's a routine I guess I have. I'll sleep in. Say if I'm preparing for a Mighty 10 Cup game and it's a 7 o'clock kickoff, I'm going to stay up all night, say Friday night, right up until like 2 in the morning, watching movies with the kids, eating junk food, and then obviously sleep in, wake up and have a brunch with the family, and then have another nap throughout the day, and then get up, spend a little time with the family and watch movies with the kids. When you have kids, you don't get to watch the movies you want, so you got to watch all the Disney movies. If there's anyone out there that can challenge me on Disney movie lines, I don't think that anyone. So when I'm preparing at home, it's a lot different to when I'm here, obviously on tour or when I'm away from family. So it varies, but I will say that my probably pre-game ritual would be like I need to have music in my ears. I need to like be bouncing around and things like that. And I think some people must look at me like, flip, this guy is just too much. Like he's out the gate, like smiling, laughing. And I just learned, like as I got older and as I started making these teams, I started learning how to calm my nerves, or because like when you start in a professional league or a team and you're new, your nerves are just like racing and you don't know how to control them. And sometimes I guess sitting in your locker, like boxed in, overthinking everything, it just doesn't help. So for me, it's like, okay, if I'm nervous, I've got to be able to express that energy in a way that I can transfer that energy onto the field. And I just find that listening to music, whether it's hip hop, whether it's slow jams and things like that, it helps calm my nerves and things like that. And then I guess I eat M&Ms before a game.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good call. I like that.
He's the
blood sugar up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably say like back home, I'd buy a big fruit and nut, Black Forest, Cadbury.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's the one thing. That's the one thing I miss about back in New Zealand is like it's not necessarily like real chocolate, but it's just like it tastes different. It's like comparatively to here. I miss Cadbury chocolate and that kind of stuff. I need to get someone to ship me some over.
Yeah. Well, because people go to me, "Oh, what's your diet before games?" And then I just look at them and I'm like, I honestly don't know. Like, I just
what's a diet?
Sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, I'll have some Macca's on a Friday night before a game or pizza," and then people are just like, "Oh, that's not healthy," and I'm like, "But it like for me, diet, diet plays a big part. But I guess just feeling good and like just having that feeling like, oh yeah, I feel good like after say a Big Mac or chocolate, and and you see it like even in the Auckland Mitre 10 Cup, you see some of the pro players like who play Super Rugby and some of the All Blacks, they eat junk, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna eat junk then if it's not gonna affect my performance, So yeah, it's a funny one. It's a funny one, especially as an athlete. You'd expect a lot of people to be like, "This is the diet. This is what you're gonna eat." But yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying you've got to do whatever makes you feel good, and I guess if it works, it works. If not, then you can always change it, I guess.
Yeah, I had a friend who was, I think, a liaison for an island team. I won't say which one because I don't want them to get in trouble. But he ended up sneaking them out each night to go get KFC in, I can't remember what town it was. It was a small town, and they would sell out the KFC each night because they weren't used to Islanders coming in and eating that much chicken, and they would stick to their diet as well, but they would still go out at like 10 p.m. at night, go smash a whole bunch of KFC, and they're murdering people. So I think, you got to do whatever works for you. If it's eating fried chicken, if it's eating a Big Mac or pizza, 100%. Go for it. Yeah. Good. Keep you happy. All right, Cam, what's your next question?
Obviously, we all had a little bit of extra time on our hands this past year. So I wanted to know what hobbies or what new interests you picked up with your extra free time.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I guess when we went into lockdown in New Zealand, it was a tough time, I guess, for a lot of players like myself, not having rugby around, not being able to train, I guess, with your teammates. It was kind of like there was a lot of uncertainty around that. So I think I spent the first 3-4 weeks of lockdown just like, I don't know what to do. Like, it was like rugby had been taken away. So I was like, flip, I actually do not have plan B, or like, I don't know what I could do. And so I started watching a bit more. Like, I downloaded TikTok. You guys know what TikTok, right? So
oh yeah,
I downloaded TikTok, and like, I started like, because I always had interest in dancing and music and things like that. But then I started seeing like people on TikTok like doing like edits and doing like little transition dancing and videography and things like that. And so I thought to myself, man, I should actually give it a crack and like, see how we go. So I started jumping on board on that social media sort of thing. So I connected with one of my friends who was a big influencer back home in New Zealand on social media. And I just, I decided I wanted to learn how to, I guess, enter into that sort of space, so that, because I saw it as that's probably the only avenue for, I guess, someone like myself, after rugby is done, I could sort of transition into something like that, and I could still enjoy it just as much as I enjoy rugby. And, it was good. Like, as soon as lockdown came out, I started connecting with people in that media workspace. I started connecting with, like, I did a show called The Real 15. So I just got hit up on Instagram to be a host for a show called Real 15, where I went into a school and with the kids who are not so, I guess they're talented kids, but they go to a school that's not really that great, not an A1 school, not an Auckland Grammar, not a King's College and things like that. So my job was to go into the school and I guess give them a bit of hope and acknowledge them and give them that sense that they are just as important as, I guess, the guys that are playing in the top level schools, because I think they were third division, and this first team hadn't won a game within like 4 years. So I was like / coaching, but also as a reporter, like a field reporter, like giving everyone up the update. And it was a hit show. I think a lot of people really enjoyed it because it wasn't your average show where you'd see the the top athletes at the top schools getting all the treatment. Our footage was real raw. We were in a gym where there was like, I don't know, not much weights. It was like a small box, but it was for the first dean. And, like some of the kids in our first dean had to work. So they'd go to school, and instead of coming to training, they would have to go to work. And then they'll turn up on Saturday. And then I guess myself and a few of the other coaches be like, oh, what position does he play? Oh, we'll put him here. It was tough. And so I gained a bit of interest in I guess, youth work as well. So it was a bit of I had a bit of social media and media report with a bit of coaching and a bit of youth work. And I guess it all worked out really well for me. And I guess that's why, that's why when I went into the Auckland Mitre 10 Cup season, I felt more grateful, and I think I enjoyed my rugby a bit more, because obviously going through that lockdown and then going into seeing these kids, they really love rugby, but they don't have the full resources. They don't have the opportunity that I guess players like myself and others who have come before me have. So it really was an eye-opener. So now, obviously in the position that I am in now, I'm just grateful, and I'm just making sure that every day that I make it count and I enjoy it while we still have it, because who knows, we could have another lockdown where all of us have to go back home and then we have to sit in our homes for the next 2 months. But I know now that if we do, I'm prepared and I know what I'm going to get up to. So yeah, it's been quite a bit. Like you said, it's been over a year since I was here. So I've been up to not a lot of rugby, but a lot of things outside of rugby. So it's been good.
Just keep on dancing.
Why can't I do this anymore, man?
You're an entertainer through and through, man. My next question is and it's kind of an open-ended one. It doesn't have to be a singular answer, but who's your favorite teammate or teammates of all time?
My favorite teammates? Oh, that's a tough one, eh?
Because you played with a lot of good ones. I know you have.
Yeah. Oh, I think for me, it'd always be my friends from when we were little kids. When you start off as a kid at Ponsonby, under sixes, mate, you're the first players you play with, you just think they're amazing. Some of my best friends, like Junior Ngalawafe, there's Peter Aki, who's playing at Toulouse. These are my childhood friends who I call my brothers. They will always be my favorite or best teammates, because not only did we were playing together, but we did everything together. We'd go to rugby training, would walk from school to rugby training because it wasn't too far. And then after rugby training, we'll go to either my house or someone else's house, have dinner, sleep over, go to school together. And we did that right up until high school. And so when I talk about teammates, my teammates are like my brothers that I started rugby off. And it would always be, but I've been lucky enough to play with a few great players and to learn from them. And yeah, there's just so many to pick from. And I think, as you know, Ponsonby has a lot of All Blacks, a lot of Blues players.
So many.
Yeah, so, we're lucky enough that I've been lucky enough in the last, 10 years that I've been at Ponsonby to play with guys who have been in the All Blacks or guys who have made it through to the All Blacks. And it's just awesome to see their growth and see some of the older heads that I used to watch growing up playing for Ponsonby and see how they've transitioned life after rugby. And it's cool. Like TJ will know, ex Ponsonby players and new Ponsonby players come together, and it's just a massive family. And that's what I love about, rugby, is especially Ponsonby is where I grew my first love for the game.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've always said religiously, is that you go anywhere in the world, is rugby culture is always the same. With other sports, it's quite different. You can go to somewhere and whether it's soccer or other sports, they may act differently, but you can go to any rugby club. I went to a rugby club in Scotland. I went to a rugby club in Japan. Everyone's the same. It's all about that brotherhood or that sisterhood. It's all about that whānau, that family aspect. And you are right, is Ponsonby, they do it right. It's you'll have guys that have All Blacks caps for days, and they'll be in the clubhouse helping out, lifting beer bottles and helping reload everything. We're all a big team. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping the culture can start to grow here in the US, and we can get more clubs like that, because that's the one thing I miss is actual clubhouses. They don't really exist here in the US. So we'll see how that goes. But let's talk about your competition in the MLR this year? Because although your team is having a pretty great start to your season, you've got a lot of great competition in the league. So when you look at the team landscape, who do you find is the biggest competition in the MLR season and why?
I'm gonna have to be honest with you. I haven't really watched any teams really. Yeah, I wouldn't even know who we're playing next. Like, to be totally honest with you, I wouldn't know. For me, I just don't. I haven't really gotten into the whole watching other teams because my approach for this league is more focusing on what I can bring to this Old Glory team and what I can do to help grow this team. Because at the end of the day, if we can look after our own backyard, everything else will fall into place. And I think that's where I guess Old Glory is at the moment. Whereas if we focus too much on other teams, we'll lose the sense of what we're trying to do and build here as a team. And I'm only saying that because our team's so new. Like, it's not like we've walked into a team that's got history and we can just fall into place and everything's just gonna work and work out for itself. Whereas if you say if I walk into an Auckland Mitre 10 Cup team, I can watch other teams and be like, yeah, sweet, this is what this team's doing, and that because I know that our systems have been in place for I guess a number of years and things like that. There will always be small tweaks to your game plan and things like that, but it will always be the sort of same system. Whereas here in Old Glory, we're still trying to figure out a system that works for us. And we're cool. We're still quite new. A lot of us haven't played with each other, and so those are the different factors. And that's why I guess for me personally, I don't watch other games because I'm constantly watching how do we get better? How do we, okay, sweet, we've done this well, but we could do this better, a lot better. So I don't know. I think I'm giving the coach a bit of a hard time because I'm constantly but because I just want us to do really well. And I know everyone wants to win, but I want my vision for Old Glory is to be able to put ourselves in position to win a premiership. And I've learned over the years with Ponsonby is it takes time. And I know it took me 6-7 seasons to win my first Gallagher Shield. And our club's won the Gallagher Shield 12 years in a row before I joined. And so we were always trying to find a way to win. And then the moment we focused purely on what we could do better and how we could grow as a team, we started winning. And then and we started winning Gallagher Shields. And it was cool because I was like, man, we haven't added new players to the team or the roster. We just purely focused on how to grow our team together and build the culture, because culture is a massive part of rugby. Like you said, it's a family, brotherhood, sisterhood thing. And right now, Old Glory, I feel as though we're at that stage. We're trying to find our identity, because I think a lot of people watch us and think, from last season, they're like, oh man, Old Glory is pretty good. From last season, what they did last season to this season. But I know deep down, I'm like, nah, man, we can still grow. And if we're doing this now, I can't imagine what we'll be able to do in a couple more rounds as we find ourselves, I guess, as a team and as a unit, because we're still trying to learn little things about each other. You guys know what it's like to be in a rugby team. You're kind of figuring people out, what they're about, what's their go-to, what they're not, their strengths and weaknesses and things like that. So I know it's gone away from the question, but I just I haven't really watched any.
No. That's a perfect answer to the question. I think a lot of people, some people, they may take that. I guess a bit differently. They'll sit there and go, oh, well, the best way for you to know how to attack is to know your competition and those kind of things. But I think you make an excellent point, is that if you are focusing on all the things that you can do correctly, and then the best way to build that culture, the best way to create that great team dynamic, and you said it yourself, is it in Ponsonby, when I met Pete, the head coach who's there, him and Kev Senio and Tani Funga, those guys as a trio, I can't honestly think of a better coaching staff and a better leadership group now. Obviously, it was Nathan Kemp previously to Rocky Khan being there, but I've never been into a club that is just able to create such a good atmosphere and such a good support system where all you have to do is focus on what does Ponsonby do, or what does Old Glory DC do, or those kind of things, and then you just go into battle. So no, I think you make an excellent point. It's figuring out what happens in your backyard, and then you just go from there.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Like you speak about PD, Kevy, and who was it, Tani? You know, they came into Ponsonby. We were like, you know, we were kind of like a broken team. Like, you know, we're a team of great history. We're the only team who's won it 40 plus times. Won the Gallagher Shield 40 plus times. I guess the second club to it is about 16 times. So for us, like for years, like we used to be like, "Fuck, why are we so shit? Why are we not winning? Like we get, you know, we're only just making it to the semifinals. I think I made 4 semifinals, and we got smashed 4 times. But we had the likes of like Rico Ioane, like all these young kids, Vince Sassel and Rocky Khan, and all these like rep players. But it was like, what are we not doing that's not working? And then as soon as they came in, what they built was more a focus on building culture, building people wanting to be a part of it, people wanting to share the same vision and wanting to win, and that drive to want to work for each other. And so I learned a lot from those coaches, because it was not so much the focus wasn't so much on the other clubs. It was more internal, like fix our household, and then everything will unfold. And it's been unreal. Like, so, and I feel like I enjoy my rugby a lot more when I'm a lot more focused on not only myself, but only focused on trying to help my teammates, things like that, trying to share my knowledge and share my wisdom to those who are, I guess, chasing the dream as well. Because a lot of these kids, you know, they don't realize the opportunity that they have, I guess, 19, 20, and you'll be able to play a professional league like this. Like, it's unreal. Like, I know when I was at the age of 19, 20, I think I was still hanging out in the garage with my friends playing PS2 or PS3. Mm-hmm. So when I see these kids, I'm like, man, I really enjoy that I have the time and position now to be able to share and share that knowledge with them, because, you know, it's unreal. Like, the opportunity that these guys have, I think the US is going to blow out soon. Like, soon we'll have to tell people they can't come. Like, it's only a matter of time where people are going to be like, no, you can't come. There's no more food for you.
So
all right,
Cam. The next one. And they kind of have to pivot on this one. I was going to ask, who's your favorite person to watch in MLR? But I'll just open it up in general. Who do you like to watch most when watching rugby?
Okay, also current or past?
Current, past, present, wherever.
I guess I'll start with past. So I grew up watching Orene, and I always I wanted to be like Orene, and he knows it too, because I remember my first experience of playing sevens with Orene. He was my roommate. I was like, holy hell, like I'm rooming with Orene, and it was unreal. Like, so reason why I loved him, because he was a utility back. He could play halfback, first five, wing, fullback, and he had all the nice hairdos back in the day. He had the corn, he had the lines, the mohawk mullet back in the day. So, and he's doing some great work at LA. So, I can't wait to catch up with him. So already, and then I used to enjoy watching Jason Robinson, Christian Cullen. There's a lot of them, and who else would there be? And then nowadays it would be just watching my friends. Like, I love watching my boys play. The likes of like Caleb, Reeks, all the Auckland boys. Like, I'm biased there, but I love watching all my Ponies boys.
We call that brand loyalty around here.
Yeah, homerism, brand loyalty, whatever you want to call it. There's nothing wrong with loyalty.
Yeah, man, loyal to all the Ponies boys. So.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love watching my Auckland boys and seeing them excel in their fields. MLR, shucks, I don't know. I haven't watched anyone. It's tough. Shucks, that is a tough one. I do. I used to love watching Ben Foden as well. I was having a yarn with him the other day, so it was unreal. Like, I don't think many people know Ben Foden was one of the greats of England. Mm-hmm. Like, he played halfback and fullback, so that's another reason why I enjoyed watching him growing up. So, and there's a lot of players here, eh?
It's surprising how many players have just come out of the blue in this season. Like when I saw Andy Ellis got signed to New York, I absolutely lost it. So I obviously Martin Nonu was playing for the Legion last season, and then I was like, okay, now we're starting to really get some really cool players. But when Andy Ellis signed, he was probably one of my favorite halfbacks when I was watching the All Blacks when I was younger. I was like, man, we're gonna get some big names, and it was rumored that Dan Carter was gonna come too, but obviously he retired. But yeah, there's some great quality, not just halfbacks, but great players in this league at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the massive growth in the league from what it was last season to this season. You know, like we've just played 3 games and it's like my body's wrecked. Like you can see, and like I'm just like, I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hold this for the season. But I was like, but I'm lucky enough that we have people here that can look after us and things like that. So yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I'm loving it. And it's great weather as well. Not like New Zealand, flipping rain. You don't know what. You know, they'll tell you it's a hot day on Saturday. You come Saturday morning, it's raining. So it's like,
yeah.
So here we've been lucky enough to have good weather for rugby, and it's on turf as well. So I've had a few turf burns. So gotta get used to it. But no, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, gotta watch that turf.
Yeah.
My next question, it might be a tough one to answer if you're not watching the rest of the league, but you aside, who has the best hair in MLR?
Sure. Yeah, I don't even. I'll tell you. So everyone thinks this is Odell Beckham, right? So I was in France. So this is what I want to clear up. Everyone thinks I've done it with Odell Beckham. So in 2017, I went to France, Pro D2, and you know, I didn't have a barber, so one of my friends just shaved the side of my hair and just left it like a massive, like Mr. T haircut. And then a couple of the French boys, local boys, were like, "Oh, we're gonna bleach our hair." So I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll bleach my hair too." So I bleached it, and just from then, I just thought, "Oh yeah, I like it. I don't mind it." So from 2017 till now, I've just kept the same haircut. But it was when I went back to New Zealand in 2018, people were like, why are you doing the Odell Beckham hairdo? And I was like, in my head, I was like, who's Odell Beckham? Like, I don't even know who Odell Beckham is. And the only guy I knew that had this hairdo was Neymar. So I had So my young son was born in France, and at the time Neymar was signed to PSG. So I named my son after Neymar. So people were like, "Oh, why you do your hair like that?" I was like, "Oh, because Neymar." And so when I came back to New Zealand, people thought it was Odell Beckham, but I was like, nah, Neymar.
Nah, Odell Beckham copies me. There you go.
Yeah, it's not Beckham, it's a Tusitala.
Well, that's why I went and got a little rat tail too.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a Jedi tail.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's the one.
See, no, yeah,
we're just here to pump you up.
I'll buy you up here because you guessed it right. People ask me where it comes from, and I'm like, have you not watched Star Wars? Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I never let it grow long enough, but in college I always wanted a Jedi tail. Now I have to keep it a little bit clean and in the office and stuff. But
yeah, man, that's my Jedi. See, you're the only one that's ever guessed it right.
Really?
Yeah. Well, like I don't know. A lot of people come up to me and what's with the rat's tail, and I'm like, I'm not going to explain the story to you.
It's a Jedi tail.
Yeah, man. Go watch Revenge of the Sith or something.
I
think especially in New Zealand, I think it always goes to rat's tail. Is no one is ever going to think Star Wars first. They're always going to think rat's tail. Because I used to have one back in high school as well. Mum made me cut it off, so had to get rid of that one. But
I think photographic evidence of that, TJ.
I think my mum actually still has the rat's tail like in a drawer or something. She put it in a bag and she like kept it. And I was like, "Why are you keeping this?" And she was like, "For evidence, so you know what you did." And I was like, "All right, yeah, thanks, Mum, appreciate it." But I think if you're a mullet fan, I think Blake Rogers probably has the second best hair. It goes the Tusitala, and then it goes Blake Rogers because his majestic mullet he's just like running in the wind. He looks like he's in a commercial. Oh man, it's just blowing away. But
I did see a mullet in Atlanta. I think there was a mullet there. There was a few mullets.
Oh yeah. I know. I don't know the players.
He's got something else. I don't know what you call that because it's kind of two braids.
Yeah. It's
I don't know if it's Dreads. I don't know. He just has something unique going on.
Yeah, bro. Wait, Sons of Anarchy, those ones.
Yeah.
Well, they're
a lot of hair down there.
Yeah, so I don't know how long I'm going to keep this. I've had it for too long now. But so when I did it, it was initially so that my kids could see me on the field in France.
Smart.
So like my little ones would be like, oh, yeah, there's Daddy. And it just worked out well. So like my kids now, when they come to the games, they can see, like they can spot me out straight away. But obviously over time, a lot of people started getting the same hairdo. So we'll be at like a game back home and they'll be like, oh, Daddy. And my wife's like, no, that someone's got Daddy's haircut too. And I was like, oh. So I was thinking about changing the color, but yeah, nah.
You could do DC colors. You could always do DC colors.
Nah, man. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on and we'll talk about it. And we already know that you're a few weeks in. You've already been named Geico team in the Geico Team of the Week. Plus, you've also been named Geico Player of the Week in Week 1. Both well deserved, we might add, because we've been calling you the best halfback in the league since the first week. And we know you can both play fly half and halfback. But looking specifically at the halfback position, is there a player I would say that you would, I guess, idolize growing up, or someone that you feel like you maybe play very similar to, whether that's Super Rugby, any type of competition? Who do you feel like you really idolized, or you learnt off that kind of style?
I as a halfback, I idolized Fourie du Preez, South African halfback. He was the man. He could do everything. Yeah, he could run, kick. He could, win Super Rugby games and things like that. That's why I named my second son du Preez, Kyrie du Preez. So his middle name's named after Fourie du Preez. So he's definitely one of my favorite halfbacks. I guess I really enjoyed Augustine Pulu. I grew up with him. We're boys. I think what I love about Augie is he's like a mad dog, like throws his body around. And so I try my best to do, like, sort of imitate that, but I'm not as strong and big as him, so that's why I end up like so Augustine Pulu, Fourie du Preez, what's there? Yeah, and Ofisa Tunu'u would be one. He's an old Auckland Blues All Black halfback. He had probably the best bullet pass off the deck, and I was lucky enough to have him as a coach at Ponsonby, so I've been lucky enough to have quite a bit of experience, but my transition to halfback was real late. Like, I played flank up until like 5th form, and then I had to move to the wing because I was too small to play in the forwards. So I kind of like floated around wing, fullback, 10, and then it wasn't until, I guess, 2015, because I've only played like, I guess, a handful of games as a halfback at Ponsonby. Majority of, like, I think 70 something of my games have come from the wing, fullback, and 10. So I think 2016 was, I think, the year that I transitioned and told myself, okay, I want to be a halfback, because I wasn't making teams. Like, I went six or so years in club scene, jumping from positions, and I learned that it's not the best way to, I guess, make teams. And so I had to specialize myself as a halfback. And so I started watching film on other halfbacks and how halfbacks play. And I'm still learning to this day how to be a halfback. I feel as though I'm still raw. Like, I only just made it a transition to halfback in 2016. And then Mitre 10 Cup year, my first year that I made Mitre 10 Cup, I played wing for Ponsonby the whole season. And then I just randomly got the call up, and they called me up on a Sunday night and said, hey, we want you to come in to preseason for the Taranaki game. And I was like, oh, yeah, sweet. But I was thinking they maybe need a winger. So I went in on Monday, and then I was sitting at the back, and then the coach goes, can I get the halfbacks and the forwards to sit in front of me? And I'm sitting at the back thinking, yeah, sweet. I'm here because I'm a winger. So I'm like, yeah, sweet. Looking around, I was like, oh, yeah, Caleb Clark, Salesi Reasi. Guess these are the other wingers, and I'll be one of the wingers filling in for the week. And then I just remember the forwards coach, Philo Titia, like, looking over at the back, and he's staring at me, and everyone's looking at me, and I'm just like looking at it. And he's just like, and he called me out. He's like, Danny, are you an effing halfback? And then I was like sitting there like, oh.
I think I am.
I don't know. I said to him, yeah, I think so. And then he goes, this is not effing club. You're an effing halfback here in this team. And I was like, oh. So I stood up and went straight to the front, sat in the front. And I was sweating, embarrassed. I'm like, holding my book like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? My first day on the job and I'm already. So from that day on, in any meeting, I sat right at the front in front of the coaches and I just made sure that I didn't give them an excuse to call me out. So, and that was 2018. So, and then I played my first game at halfback for Auckland Mitre 10. And I played 40 minutes, and it was like the first time I played halfback that whole year. And I was lucky enough that I just kind of went on like just what I know, like get the ball out. So my mindset was like, I've just got to get the ball out. That's all that halfback does. Then when it came to kicking, just kick it as hard as I can up in the air, and don't worry about technique. Just hit the ball, get it up in the air. And then lucky enough, after that, because I didn't get paid for that week. It was just sort of like a chance. They offered me the chance to train, and if I get picked to play the preseason game, then I'll play. So then I went in the next week, and then they offered me a contract as a third halfback. And then lucky enough, there was a few injuries leading into the first round of the season. And 2 hours before I was about to head into Eden Park, like I was so nervous, I didn't eat. I slept the whole day. Like I think all I ate was M&Ms, and that was it. Like I didn't drink water. Like I woke up 4 o'clock. At 6 o'clock was the meet time at Eden Park. 4 o'clock, had a feed. And then 5 o'clock, the coach calls me, and I was so nervous. And he calls me, and he's like, hey, Danny, how you feeling? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm excited. Like, the old chat, like, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Ready to go. I've done my homework. I know what to do. And then he's like, yeah, I'm glad you've done your homework because I'm going to need you to start. And then I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm ready. Hung up the phone and I ran straight to the lounge and I told my wife and my in-laws, I was like, oh, I'm starting. And then they were like, you're starting? But you've only had one game at halfback. And I was like, yeah, but I'm starting. I'm starting for the Auckland team tonight. And then they were real excited. And I was just like, so I got ready and I was just like sitting in the room like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? Like I just went from playing wing all season to playing one 40-minute game at halfback, and then now I'm preparing to play like my debut for Auckland Mitre 10 Cup as a halfback. So when I went to Eden Park, like and just seeing like your name on the jersey and things like that is like it was like a dream come true. Because as a kid growing up in Auckland, that's all I wanted to do was play for Ponsonby, play for Auckland, and then hopefully one day to make the All Blacks. But obviously the All Blacks didn't work out. But I was able to tick off 2 of my goals growing up as a kid, playing for Ponsonby, winning Gallagher Shield, and playing one game at Eden Park in the blue and white hoops. So, yeah, it was a funny debut. And, I was so nervous. And it was raining. It's the worst debut to have as a halfback when it rained. So, I went out to the warm-up field. You were meant to be out there for 20 minutes. I was probably out there half an hour away before the team won. Just honestly, I don't remember warming up. All I remember was just jogging around, looking around the stadium, just in awe of the whole history of playing for Auckland and Eden Park. Mm-hmm. And then, I was just lucky enough. I played 80 minutes and I managed to play well. Got player of the day, and it's definitely a debut I'll never forget. And yeah, man, it was unreal. But I was definitely nervous, and I think that's why nowadays I'm like, man, I don't think I could ever be as nervous as that for any game. Because that
always go back to that moment, yeah.
Man, I was sitting in my locker, putting on the jersey. You're like, oh my gosh, and I was still second guessing calls. I was still unsure of what to call and we were playing North Harbour, so they had the likes of Bryn Hall, they had Matt Duffy, they had all these players, Tiko Ratuma, they had some class players.
Was that when was it Sean Stevenson was playing in that team as well?
Yeah. So for me, I was like, man, I just finished watching these guys play Super Rugby. Now I'm having the chance to play against them. So it was an unreal experience. I think my debut, and I was lucky enough. I got to play every game of that season. And funny, I'm just grateful for all the learnings I took from there, because it was actually pretty much I was learning on the run as a halfback. So I was going into every week learning new things as a halfback, because previous to that, I had no halfback games. I was just playing on the wing. Like, I played the Gallagher Shield final as a winger. So I was pretty lucky. And I remember making the team and so many people were like, why did you guys pick Tusitala? He's not even a halfback. He's a winger. He plays on the wing for Ponsonby. And like, at the time, I was doubting myself. I was like, oh, man, yeah, like, flip, I didn't think I could do this. But then I just thought, nah, you know what? I'm going to back myself, and it's an opportunity. And, yeah, I was lucky enough that it all worked out for me. So, yeah, I'm pretty lucky, I guess.
Nice. Well, before Cam goes on to ask his question, I will say Augustine Pulu, probably one of my favorite halfbacks I've ever seen play. He's the man. He's always been an underrated halfback, all in Super Rugby, everywhere he's played. I love that, watching that guy play. I'd love to pick his brain about so many things, because every time I see him put on the jersey and play, whether it's for counties or someone like that, oh man, he kills it.
He's tough.
You actually transitioned pretty well into my next question. I just kind of wanted to see what you think the biggest challenge is of moving between halfback and fly half during, you've done it a couple times this game. What's the biggest challenge doing it mid-game?
Oh, the Atlanta game?
Yeah.
It was kind of hard, I guess. But as you guys know, as professionals, we've got to, I guess, learn everyone's roles in the back line and things like that, making sure that I guess I was just lucky enough that I kind of knew the detail of what a 10 needed to do. And so I think it was captain's run. I got told, like, at captain's run that I had to play 10. So I kind of was like, oh, okay. Like, because my mindset, like, if the team wanted me to play on the wing, I'd play on the wing.
You seem to get put on the spot a lot, don't you? You're just like, captain's run, yeah, just go play 10 for us. And be like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
all right, cool.
yeah. So we're playing warm-up touch, and then the coach comes up to me and he's like, oh, how you feeling? And I was like, yeah, I'm feeling good. And then he's like, hey, how do you feel about starting at 10? And then I said to him, oh, I don't want to start at 10. I can move to 10, but I want to start at 9. And then he goes, yeah, well, Chicken, Mike Debulis, our young college kid from Penn State, he's the reserve for his 5. He wasn't too confident about his hammy at the time. And so I said to him, oh, what about Chicken? Like, can he not start? He's on the bench, so you might as well start him and then take him off. And then he was like, nah, he's not too confident. So I was like, okay, sweet. And then he goes to me, and then he goes, can you goal kick it? And I said to him, yeah, sweet, I can goal kick. But I hadn't kicked since, like, I can't remember.
You fooled us. You kicked well.
You did kick really well. I was sitting there going, man, he's a bloody Carlos Spencer. Like, oh, man, he's looking good.
I'm not a kicker, bro. I was looking for a tee. Captain's on. I'm like, oh, has anyone got a tee I can use to kick? So coach said, oh, can you goal kick? And I just gave him the confident answer, yeah, I can kick. I was like, I can kick. And then he said, okay, sweet, can you do kickoffs? And then I said, I probably can't do the big kickoffs like 15s, but I can do 7s ones. Like, I can do little 10s. And he's like, oh, we're going to need the big ones. So, yeah, so I went home that night and I just prepared to play 10. And it was hard, I guess, like when you have a halfback who's kind of thrown in the spot and as a 10, you kind of need the ball in your hands as we all do. Like, and it was just hard. So then at halftime, I kind of walked in and I was like, kind of said to the coach, oh, maybe just throw me in at halfback because I think I can control the game a lot better as a halfback. So I believe that I can be a better 9 and just have anyone at 10 than me playing at 10 and having a 9 that doesn't really know what they're doing, because it's hard. Like, the 9 position is the link between the backs and the forwards. Like, you'll know, Cam, like, man, if you don't link it to the backs are going to be blaming you.
Yeah.
A lot of voices out there.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, like, it's funny because when people start telling you how to be a halfback, you're like, oh, I've never seen you put a ball in the scrum before. I've never seen you pass the ball from the ruck, you know? It's funny, man, when I guess things go bad on the field, it's always the halfback's fault. Get the ball out.
You wonder why forwards always knock on when they get in these rucks. It's because they've never had to pull the ball on it.
Easy. You can have a lot of forwards hating us. Thanks a lot, Cam. I appreciate it, mate.
Cam, I've been trying to build a brand over here.
Man. But yeah, the transition, 10 is definitely hard. I guess I was at club level. at Ponsonby, I could get away with being a 10 because I could, do whatever. But I guess at the MLR level or at any professional level, I guess you have to kind of be an out-and-out 10, and like that's your bread and butter and things like that. And as you guys would have seen in the results in the weekend, like we put a young kid at 10 and he struggled, which was it was hard because, you don't want to see your friends or your brother struggling. And especially a young kid who's got so much talent, Mike Devlis, who, he's got a bright future here in the USA game. And I believe he'll be the future of the US. He's rapid. He's got a good kick on him. He knows the game. But I think in the weekend was definitely a massive learning curve for him. And, we've all been through those games where we get exposed. It's like, oh, man, like it's the end of the world. But I think we're grateful for the senior players that we have around him, that we're able to help him get back on his feet and, onto the next job. So 10, I definitely wouldn't play 10 again in the MLR because I'm getting exposed there, and you're probably like my kicking at 10 is, so I'm like box kicking from 10. It's like, oh my gosh. Robinson's like, you can stay square when you're kicking at 10. I was like, yeah, but my kicking habits this way, like box. So
I gotta box it.
Yeah. So, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks we get Jason back, and then everything will be back to normal. We won't have anything to worry about. I won't have to do anything out of my role to cater to anyone else and things like that. So, yeah.
Well, if you do get put in that spot, we are confident that you do a pretty good job. So don't be too hard on yourself. You did a really good job in the last couple of games. So,
I did when I moved to 10. The boys are like, "Oh, I guess there's no exits," and I was like, "Yeah, there's no exits, boys."
Nope.
I told the boys, "Hey, boys, we might have to run it in front of our own goal line, so just expect the ball to be thrown in front of our post."
Hold on to it. Don't let it go. All right, Walker, you got our last question. What do you got?
Well, before my next question, I got to be honest. I think we've figured out that we need to get you an M&M endorsement.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
What about a Nike one? I need a Nike one, man. I'm so loyal to Nike. I still.
M&M's.
We'll see if we can get. Yeah, we'll see if we can get you a deal. We can get M&M with Nike. How does that sound? We'll see what we can do.
Love it, man. Love it. Yeah. I'll do the. If they want to be dancing on the ad, I'll do it. I'll do it for them, man.
No, my next question, it's maybe not an easy answer, but I think MLR, obviously we're going into our fourth season, third with actually playing an actual season. Last year we had 5 games, and it was obviously abbreviated. But where do you see MLR in 5 years, and what can they do to continue to progress and just continue to advance the sport on the field specifically?
To be totally honest, I think they're doing all the right things right now. They're doing really well. I guess social media definitely plays a big part in promoting the game here in the US. As you know, a lot of people are connected on their phones, so they're constantly seeing MLR Play of the Week or Team of the Week, Tries of the Week, and things like that. That we, I guess, in New Zealand we take for granted, but here in the US, they're doing it really well, which I feel as though that's how the game is growing so fast here in the US. Kids are so connected to their phones that as soon as you post the Try of the Week, kids are going to be like, oh, man, they love it. Oh, wow, what's this? The MLR? Click on the MLR link, and then there you go. They'll start seeing all the teams from there. And then I think if we can continue to grow the game with players, I guess, like guys like Andy Ellis, Ben Foden, like those players of that caliber coming into the league, although they're a lot older, I believe that they add a lot to the league in terms of just like bringing people into the game, because more people are watching the game, and the more they watch and see these players, they'll be like, man, this guy used to play for the All Blacks, or this guy used to play for England. And like for us, we had Tendai, the beast. That was unreal. Like I've only ever seen him on TV, and to be able to play a game with him and I guess hang out with him outside of rugby was unreal. And that was the beauty about it. So bringing all these big names, and it sounds corny, but bringing these big names to the US and building MLR's brand around, I guess, them and how like all these young college kids are playing with players at that caliber. It's like I know if I was a kid coming out of college and I saw the likes of Ma'anonu playing in San Diego, I'll be like, man, how do I get to San Diego? Or how do I get in that league? Because players like this, like Ma'anonu, they're playing here. And then I think that'll just ripple effect through to the grassroots here. I think the more the league grows, and I guess over time, the league will just keep growing and growing, and then it will just, I guess, filter down to the grassroots to the point where, we're not going to have to go looking for kids to come play this game. Kids are going to come looking for clubs to play for. And then that's going to force the hand of, I guess, owners and people who are rugby lovers here in the US to build clubs for those kids to be able to, I guess, come into the rugby scene at a young age so that then they filter through. And then obviously, I guess there'll probably be more teams in the future to add it to the MLR, which will expand to, the states are big. And then that will just I guess Old Glory, you just look at it, Old Glory Suite, there could be like 10 clubs in DC, or I guess, what is it, like an academy, not an academy, but where kids are like looking up to Old Glory DC to one day play for, we like after the game, I've seen a lot of kids at our games, and I always make it a thing for me to go up to these kids and, just give them time and, acknowledge them being there. Because I know as a kid, when I used to go to watch players, Auckland players and Blues players, I'd love it, man. I'd stand in the terrace stands, like waving players down and be like, hey, man, get the photo, get the autograph and things like that. And those are those are the things, I guess, we can't take for granted as players. Like, as soon as the game's finished, like my first thing is I'm looking for I'm looking for the kids. Like, I'm looking for the parents with their kids who are there, who take their time out to come watch us play. So that I think those are the small things that I think if we can encourage, I guess, across all board in the MLR, is to have that impact on kids, especially at the games. I think that's where we can make a massive impact in the MLR, is because we got so many people that love coming to watch the game. If we take that time out after the game to go and acknowledge them and share a bit of time with them, they'll remember that for the rest of their life, and they'll go away from it, and then they'll go and tell their friends, and then their friends will come to the next game, and then their friends will tell their friends, and then and that's just what I've learned as a kid, and what you see in New Zealand, and I don't think the US is that far behind. The brand of rugby we're playing is awesome. Like, you see World Rugby Instagram, they share the tries of the MLR. So we're heading in the right direction as a whole. But I know that if we can continue to encourage more of what we do off the field than what we do on the field, because everyone will remember what you do off the field more than what you've done on the field. And that's from personal experiences. Like, I'll always remember if a player didn't stop to say hello, but he was there and he'd walk off. And those are the little things. Like, and I always make sure that I don't walk. Like, if I see someone calling out, like in the weekend, there was a kid calling out and I'm getting yelled at from the manager to hurry up and come to the changing room. But I was like, nah. So I almost walked off because I was thinking, no, I don't want to get in trouble. But I was like, nah. So I turned around and ran back because I was like, nah, I'm gonna make sure that this kid, gets his photo, gets his autograph. So
just a little bit of effort goes a long way.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and you see it. Like, I think I met a couple in the weekend that said they drove 4 hours to come watch us, and we lost. And it was disappointing. But I was like, if they're showing that much of commitment, us as players, we can share the same commitment towards them as well, because they're a massive part of the game, I guess, to growing the game here in the US. If there's no supporters, no crowd, what's the point of playing the game that we love? Like, you guys as players know that that's why you love playing the game, because people are there watching you do what you love. And like I've been so impressed by the way the league's going this season, and the competition itself and how it's run, and just the way they promote it. I love the social media side of it. And that's why, like, I just love sharing posts and things like that, because it just grows the game. Like, people are not watching games on TV; they're watching it through Instagram, they're watching it through Facebook and things like that. So we're plugging into that 24/7. I guess the MLR is plugging into that. That's growing the game while we're sleeping, while we're awake, while we're doing other things. So it's unreal.
I think the Rugby Network is doing a really good job now that they have their actual platform and we're able to watch replays and able to watch the highlights and things like that. I think it's really going to go a long way, like you said, with the social media aspect, because you are right. Once we get that, I guess that demographic or that group of kids excited about rugby, it starts to grow overnight. So I think that's definitely a good one.
It's like it's you know, it's a thing. Like I guess us Kiwis, we're not too fond of, you know, as Kiwis, we don't like to, I guess, boast about certain things in the game, but I feel as though that's where the game's heading, and if we can grow with it, then man, you know, the league's going to do amazing things. Like I say to a lot of my friends back home, like 3 years from now, you're going to be asking me to come to the MLR, and I say it in a cheeky way, but I'm like, you're gonna want to one day hit me up and be like, oh, I want to come to the MLR. Like, I've had a lot of my mates who are playing super hit me up about what's the money like, what's this and that, and I'm just like, you know, at this stage, the money's not what you'd want, but I think if you look long term, future and opportunity wise, I think the US is definitely the place to be.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something where I've actually had something like that as well, is because I've been living in the States the last 6 years, and I mentioned one of my friends who's playing professional rugby. I mentioned to him the MLR. I was like, if you can't get a certain contract, or if you're interested in trying out something else, look at the MLR. I can put you in touch with some people. And he just brushed it off. But then a year later, now he's seeing how much it's grown and the type of players that are coming in, and he's going, okay, I understand what you're talking about now. Now I'd be interested in doing that. And I think you make an excellent point. When it comes to 3-4 years from now, people might not have that opportunity to go, oh, I'll see how it goes, and then I'll go in. There'll be a lot of players that will just be able to get signed and then see you later. Like we've got our numbers, so you've lost your chance. So yeah, I think we need more people like you, and there have been a lot of people that have been coming into the league, helping grow it, helping develop it, and helping promote it. So I think your TikToks are going to go a long way, man. It's going to be good stuff. But it's called the bonus. It's called the bonus point for a reason. So I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit just for a quick question, just so we can end off. And I'm gonna focus around Super Rugby, because I know you've got a lot of mates in the Auckland team. Obviously, one of your best mates is Caleb Clark, and you've got a few other boys that are in that team. Obviously, Pony's boys. You've got the Ioane brothers, Paddy Toops, and you've got a list that goes
Sonny Bill.
Yeah, goes pretty long, but
I'll claim that for the rest of my life.
So the one thing I want to talk to you is the Crusaders. They're currently at 18 points in the standings. The Blues are at 14. Obviously, we still got about half the season left to go. The Highlanders are on the chase as well as my Chiefs. So I hope they can get a win after this one. But do you have confidence that the Blues can knock off the Crusaders this Super Rugby season?
After what I watched with the Crusaders and Highlanders, yeah, definitely. I think the Blues are starting to come together and win those niggly games that they never won in the past. And I think it's funny because like there was a meme that was like the small Ninja Turtles with the big, or the rat, and then there was the photo on top where they're all big Ninja Turtles and the big rat, and it said like Blues. It said Blues back then, Little Turtles, and then Blues now, and then Big Turtles. So they're a lot older. Like all these boys, like Rico, Akira, Paddy, they're a lot more mature than they were 3 years ago. So I think now they're at a stage where they can close these games off, these close games. Obviously, their game against the Crusaders didn't go to plan, but you know they definitely weren't out of the game. But they're just only going to get better, and I 100% think they're going to win, man. They better win.
That's a Tusitala threat right there. No, so I honestly believe if COVID hadn't played a factor and they were to play that final game in Eden Park, they would have won it. It's a foregone conclusion. Any time the Blues go and play, or Auckland goes and plays in a Eden Park game, it's game's over. It's a done deal. So I obviously, as a Chiefs fan, I hope they don't. I hope the Chiefs get it. But I wish all the Chiefs, all the Blues, all the best. I mean, they're they've been on the rise for a long time. They've been building. They deserve it. They've got a great program led by Liam McDonald now, so it's going to be good. But Danny, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. I really appreciate all your insight into the MLR, into your career, and into everything else like that. We wish you all the best when it comes to this upcoming season. We know you're going to do great things. So hopefully we'll be able to get you on the podcast again.
Yeah, sure. No, just want to thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate you guys giving up your time and allowing me to be on the show with you guys. What you guys are doing is awesome. I'm all for it, and I love the fact that you guys are doing this. And I hope to see you guys in person sometime soon. But if not, see you guys again, and all the very best for the rest of the season. And hope to hear from you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks, brother. No, if you ever make your way out to LA, I know me and Renz will take you around. We'll show you a good time. It'll be good fun.
Yeah, I told Renz I wanted to come on the bye week, but my wife said no.
hey, I know how it goes. You got to listen to the missus. She makes the rules. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's all good.
I asked my wife. I told my wife on Friday, "Oh, we got a bye week next week," and she goes, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh." I said, Ren said if I wanted to come here, I could stay with him, and she goes, "Yeah, nah, you can stay in DC," and I was like, "Oh, okay, so I'll think about it then." That's all good.
All right, we'll figure something out, and we'll see if we can catch up. Maybe I'll come and fly out, and I'll watch a DC game or something like that, so we can hang out. But big shout out to, bro. Yeah, I got to come out. I've never been to Washington DC before. I've always wanted to do the tour of the monuments and everything like that. It's gonna be good. But big shout out to Ponsonby Rugby Club, Auckland Rugby Union, everyone back home in New Zealand. But thank you for listening to the Bonus Point podcast. We will see you soon. Have a good evening.
Cheers. Thank you, boys.